Fair enough.
Hey, everybody. It's Erik J. Olson with another episode of the Managing Partners podcast. Today, I am joined by Roger Barton of Barton LLP. Hey, Roger, what's happening?
How you doing, Erik? Good to see you.
Likewise. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Wait, tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe like where you're from and any kind of personal information if you wanted to share with us.
Yeah, sure. Born in New York City, still live in New York City, except during COVID. We're a little bit out east right now. Um, come from a line of lawyers. My dad was a lawyer, so I didn't know anything else but to be a lawyer. So that's how I got into this gig.
Did he encourage you to be a lawyer as well?
Probably because he said I could be a lawyer or a doctor, and I couldn't do math, so science was not for me. I think by elimination, yeah.
That's interesting that your father was a lawyer. Did you spend much time like in his law firm when you were a kid, or did you intern or anything like that?
One of my first jobs was he had a small office, and of course at that time lawyers had libraries with actual books on them, and they were on wooden shelves, and he'd pay me a nickel a shelf if I take the books off, dust them, turn the shelf over so it would warp the other way and put them back. So that was my first early law job. Yeah.
That was your first law gig.
Yeah.
Cool. So you went to law school, obviously, and then did you start your own firm right out of law school?
No. I went to law school and I worked for Sidley Austin, which is a small little, at the time, 7th largest in the world. I think now it's 5th. So that's where I got my start. I was an attorney there for a number of years and, enjoyed it. Super firm, great people. But I had the itch, for business. And I thought, maybe I could do this on my own, which was young and naive, but, I figured it out eventually.
That's a good combination though, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Rather than old and naive.
Exactly.
All right. So according to your LinkedIn, about 29 years ago,
yeah,
when you launched your own firm, which is frankly just amazing that you've been doing this for 29 years successfully, self-employed. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was, as I say, when I look at what I do, it doesn't seem like 29 years. It seems like every 2 years I have a different job because, the practice changes so much, the firm changes so much. We went through 2 or 3 iterations of what you see now in terms of our firm. So, it's all good. A lot of lessons along the way.
Yeah. So how did it start? And maybe just generally speaking, how did you morph over the years, and what do you focus on now?
Sure. Well, at Sidley, I was fortunate. I actually developed a lot of business while I was there. And I did, as I said, got the notion, okay, I could do this on my own. My dad had a small little firm, as I mentioned earlier. And, I said, all right, instead of really, going out and renting office space and computers and so forth, I could join his firm, say that, we're 5 lawyers and I'd have, somewhat of a presence. But his practice was plaintiff's personal injury, which I did not want to do. And I was practicing corporate law. So we talked about it, and I said, I'd like to join your firm. I'd like to build a corporate practice. And he said, you're nuts, but if you want to do it, okay. So I did. In the early years, I brought in a bunch of clients that were, small, mid-sized companies, a lot of one-off business. At the same time, I was helping on some personal injury cases, which, I think got me some great experiences in terms of being a trial lawyer. But, ultimately that practice just really was not complementary to what I was doing. It wasn't really as sustainable as what I was doing. And that was one of the shifts where we spun that off in 2011 and really just focused on being a commercial firm, business firm. When we were 7 lawyers at that time, and having a single focus really enabled me to recruit lawyers, as you see on our website now, all out of big firms, and build the firm that we have now, 40 lawyers, where we practice, all commercial law, but it's transactional, it's litigation, it's intellectual property, real estate, employment, a broad practice. I can't call it full service, but a broad practice for businesses.
We have a question from someone who's watching. I'll bring that up in a second. But so corporate law, I'm guessing you've been very busy this past year. A lot of things happening when it comes to government involvement and just leases. And I would imagine a lot of contracts being scrutinized and reviewed. Has that kept you pretty busy this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. In March when in New York we had a shutdown, and I brought everybody into the conference room. We got a large enough room to fit everyone, and said, we're going to shut down, but we're going to be fine. We're going to work remotely. I had no idea. I don't think anybody really did. What would the landscape look like in terms of our work? But fortunately, most of our clients did pretty well. If not survived, some of them even thrived. There are, a number of them which, in hospitality and in tourism, just really, really suffered, decimated. But a lot of our client base is private equity, financial service firms, companies that, looked at this and could see opportunities and didn't shy away. So we kept busy on the transactional front. Our M&A practice was quite busy. Our finance practice was quite busy. A lot of clients wanted help with the PPP loans. Clients did want us to look at their leases. Clients did have issues in terms of their workforce and how to manage the workforce during this time. So, we've been quite busy, which is great.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've also heard from other lawyers that this year they got in a lot more billable hours because, well, the lawyers didn't take as much vacation and they kind of filled their pipeline a little bit better.
Every day is Tuesday in the pandemic.
All right, let's bring up these questions. I got two from Adam Williams. Adam asked, and it's just on the screen here, where did you go to law school?
I went to Fordham Law School in New York.
All right. And then the next question is, what do you look for in a person that makes them feel like they are a good fit for your particular firm?
Oh, that's a great question. Fit is actually the number one criteria when we hire somebody. And at the partner level, we're looking for cultural fit. Is their personality a good fit? Is their practice area a good fit? Because it's important that all the attorneys in the firm are able to work with each other. And of course, that doesn't happen every day, but you want to have someone that's got a practice where many of the attorneys in the firm and their clients could make use of those skills. And then conversely, if we're bringing in somebody, we look at their client base. Are their clients ones where there's a fit with our practice areas more broadly? So we look at all of that. Cultural fit, whether it's a partner or a paralegal, and in between, it's somebody who's really a driver, someone who's self-motivated, really enjoys what it is that they do, enjoys the practice of law, excited about serving clients, excited about what we do. That's a good fit.
Yeah, it's always interesting when someone asks about fit because the natural answer for business owners, especially those that are maybe a little more enlightened, is culture first. And I've said that many times, but then it's like, well, really, it's skill set first, but culture has to be there. That's non-negotiable.
Yeah, I think they go hand in hand. If you don't have the skills, particularly what we do, it's dangerous. So it's a must.
Yeah, it's like a prerequisite,
right?
If you will.
But if you're the best technician and you're toxic to the culture, that's no good either.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% with you. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about what sets you apart from your competitors. And looking at your LinkedIn profile and your website, I have an idea of who your competitors are.
Yeah,
Big law.
it is big law. I looked at our practice, as a business, especially setting up the firm, and then through the different iterations and lessons that I learned, and to figure out how can we be better or different. I mean, I think everybody's got to ask that question of themselves. And if you just go to a party and say I'm a lawyer, that's great. In New York City, it's like saying I have a belly button. There's a lot of us lawyers in New York City. So how are you better or different, and where do you fit? Coming out of Sidley, I knew what that world was like, and the sophistication of that practice and the demands that clients have on lawyers at that level. And I really believe that we could create an alternative where we'd have the same level of sophistication, the same high quality, the same dedication to service, but do it in a really efficient environment, because that's the downside of large firms, like any large institution. There's inefficiencies, and you just can't get away from that. The bigger you are, the more inefficiencies, the more overhead, and so forth. And I looked at it and said, well, how can we drive the value to the client, drive the service to the client that they want without imposing all the inefficiencies? And that's really where we fit in. We're 40 lawyers, best of breed, mostly senior lawyers, very few associates, working partners. It's not a partner who's just managing a team of people. They're actually on the job. And that allows us to do, very sophisticated work at a very high level in a very user-friendly, value-driven proposition. And, clients want that. I mean, they wanted it after the 08-09 downturn. I think continue to want it. And I think even now, where we have, I don't know if it's going to be a new economy, but certainly a different way of sourcing services, where, in the legal profession, you're seeing what they call the segmentation of legal services, where it used to be just a big firm provided all the services. Now, if you look at the pie of legal services, you see there's a piece that's solved with technology. There's a piece that's solved with non-lawyer, legal service providers, some large firms, obviously, in-house, and then smaller firms. And there aren't, in my view or knowledge, firms that have our quality and our breadth of practices out there. And that's very attractive for clients.
Very cool. That's really interesting. I do like how you highlighted how you contrast to big law, because I think it's a good thing from a marketing perspective to say, like, here's the alternative, and here's how we're different. And I often do this too, where for us, we're a digital marketing agency, and so the alternative is traditional, which is like TV and billboards, and there's all sorts of stuff that I can poke them with as far as the inability to target and whatnot. And so I find it advantageous from a marketing perspective to highlight those differences and contrast that approach to our approach. And it seems like you've done the exact same thing.
Well, we have, and a lot of our clients are lawyers. These large companies with in-house counsel, they understand our business. And if you can articulate the value proposition, and then of course you have to deliver on it, you got to be excellent all the time. But if you can deliver, then the work comes.
Very nice. Great. Let's talk about the future. We talked a little bit about the past, and particularly the founding of the firm, and then COVID more recently. What about the next 5 or 10 years? And granted, things are a little bit foggy for the next year or so.
Yeah.
COVID and vaccines and whatnot. But where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
I think, we're going to continue to have measured growth. We've grown quite quickly in the last 3 to 5 years, more than doubling the firm. I don't know if we'll double again in the next 3 to 5 years, but that's possible. I feel like, we don't want to get too big, because then all of a sudden we're going to be like all those other big inefficient firms. So, keep a size where we can maintain, our value proposition and our culture, but yet be large enough to service the clients and the needs that they have. I think there's going to be a lot of, disruption in the legal service world. There has been already. I think COVID's accelerating it. There are firms that are for sure going to try to be, remote or distributed, or whatever the terminology one wants to use. I don't know that that's really a threat to us. I don't think that's really necessarily a threat overall to the profession. But I do think the leveraging of technology, the dispersion of services, where clients will source from different, providers, will continue and be accelerated. And I think that's an opportunity. If you're built for it, and if you're open to it, and you're agile, which is another trait that helps us being small, you can take advantage of those things. And there will be, as there have been, great lawyers at large firms who are looking at their practice saying, this platform doesn't work for me, doesn't work for my clients. And so there will be, we'll be the beneficiary of the brain drain, if you will.
Excellent. So you mentioned doubling the size of the firm in the last 3 to 5 years, which is incredible, and hopefully trying to double again if you can, maybe a little bit longer. I, when it came to the doubling of the firm the last 3 to 5 years, was there something specific? And actually, my next question really is about marketing. A lot of people that are going to watch this are interested in marketing, in particular, how to grow a law firm through marketing. It was marketing part of that growth equation, or did you attribute it to something else?
It's like asking about the chicken and egg, right? I think for us, it was critical to get to a certain size, that critical mass point, if you will. And I think we reached that when we reached about 20 lawyers. Because, when it was 7 and it was just me and some associates, and I'm going to these, very qualified partners at large firms saying, you should join this firm because it's going to be great. That's a tough sell. But when you're 20 lawyers and it's not just me telling these folks, it's, partners who have done it and have had success, partners who are telling their friends, hey, you got to join. This is great. It accelerates the ability to attract folks. So I think reaching the 20 was important. I would say side by side with that or supporting that, you need the marketing. And I look at marketing, in a really broad sense. All the collateral. Is it your website? Is it newsletters that you send out? Is it being, on a podcast like this? Is it attending, networking events? Is it being a speaker on a panel? Right? All those things that one does. And I think, the marketing supports it. People, clients, and lawyers who are looking to join the firm are all going to vet you, and they want to know, is this for real? And those are things I think which help, to evidence and support that, yes, this is for real.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a package deal, right? You can't just do one marketing technique and say, okay, this is the silver bullet. It's everything combined, your people and stationery, everything, it all the office space, everything.
Well, exactly. And we even mentioned that 2 years ago, we moved our office to a new facility. We took out a full floor, built it from the bricks, designed it exactly as we wanted to. It's modern. It's, marble and glass and all that. But it also has a, reception area that opens up into a number of our conference rooms. We can host events of over 200 people. And, when I talked to the architects, I said, don't design this like a law firm. Think W Hotel. Because that's the culture, that's the marketing, that's the way we want to host people. We didn't get to do it this year, but last year we did a Thanksgiving party, to invite all of our clients, our referral sources, our, trusted partners, as a giving of thanks for their support and so forth. And we had over 200 people. It was awesome. So that's really cool. Another, and the best thing in those instances is, clients start talking to each other. They're saying how great we are. We don't have to say how great we are. It's fantastic.
I like that you did that at Thanksgiving as well. Most companies wait until after Thanksgiving and before Christmas. They try to cram it in when everyone else is trying to cram it in. And so it sounds like you did that a little bit early, which I think is great because it really is about thanking your whole network.
Exactly.
Well, very nice. All right, Roger. If someone wants to find out more about you or your company, where's a good place that we can send them to?
BartonESQ.com.
All right, fantastic. Well, thanks so much, Roger. All right, everybody, go to BartonESQ.com if you're interested in finding out more about Roger. And if you are interested in digital marketing for your law firm, check out ArrayLaw.com for websites, social media, SEO, and online advertising. Thanks, Roger.
Thank you, Erik.